Alasdair, Nomi Prins, a former managing director at Goldman Sachs and a renowned author and keynote speaker who addressed the Federal Reserve, the IMF and the World Bank, previously predicted $2,500 US an ounce for gold by mid-2024. She was correct. She then predicted $3,000 US an ounce for gold by the beginning of 2025. She was correct again. She then predicted $4,000 US an ounce by the end of 2025, and we are already at 3,700 US. Nomi has now raised the bar and is predicting 4,500 US by year's end. By the way, that's 6,800 Aussie for all the Australians out there watching this. Alasdair, do you think Nomi Prins will be correct again? Your thoughts?
Well, I don't make price predictions. I think that's quite brave. But having said that, there's certainly a confluence of events building up which could well lead to that outcome. And indeed, I would expect that outcome because of what's happening in the background. First of all, in the big picture, it appears to me that we are coming to the end of the fiat currency system. And the transition of that to something else will definitely require far higher gold prices, because what higher gold prices are in effect lower purchasing power for fiat currencies. Fiat currencies are dying. So the easiest prediction in the world is to say that reflected in the price of gold, gold will be considerably higher without putting any numbers on it. There is also, when you look at timing, something which means that Nomi could well be right, and in fact she may underestimate the situation. And that is that we have an enormous credit bubble. Now, if you don't know that we're in a credit bubble, just look at the debt. We're in a debt bubble. The other side of debt is credit. Now, if that goes pop, then all bets on currencies are effectively off.
Sure.
The problem is that when that goes pop, you've got to consider what the establishment, and by the establishment, I mean the government and its central banks, will do. They will try and rescue the banking system, large corporations, the entire derivative system. And the only way in which they can do that is to replace imploding credit in the private sector with rapidly increasing credit in the public sector, which basically means diluting the purchasing power of currencies. So with that in prospect, not only will you find the dilution of the currencies, but also a loss of faith in them. It is quite likely that the purchasing power of gold, which remains constant, will be reflected in, if you like, its value in declining paper currencies, quite dramatically shifting. We could see Nomi's forecasts easily exceeded if that bubble pops. And the thing that is likely to pop it is rising yields along, rising bond yields, government bond yields along the yield curve. And interestingly, when the Fed cut interest rates, it cut its Fed funds rate by a quarter, the reaction in bond markets was for bond yields to begin to rise, not just in America, but everywhere else, and also in countries which followed cutting their interest rates. So you can see that we've got a bond crisis in the background, and as yields rise, that is bound to burst the credit bubble.
Onwards and upwards from here, Brian, I think.
Well, we already know there's over 3,800 fiat currencies that have gone down, hit the dust. Looks like this one's the next one to follow.